Hi, it's Julie, and this is the Do Business Like a Woman show. So, today I'm talking about, can we really do only the things we enjoy and still earn good money? Because this has been a fundamental question in my journey. It's been so interesting to ask this question and really get to experiment on my own life and see for myself whether I was able to do that. Because part of my conditioning is that I had a bit of the slave girl archetype going on in the past, and I had the belief that you have to work hard for money. Who else has that belief? Like, leave me a comment below if you can relate to that too. So for me, I had a whole lot of conditioning around this that I needed to undo before I could really experience the levels of ease and pleasure in my day-to-day life and in my business in particular. So today I'm going to share a little bit about that journey, and I'm going to give you my top tips for how to create and design your business and your life so that it does feel like pleasure, so that it does bring energy and it does bring vitality, because I'm a firm believer that we can do this. And there are just some things we have to watch out for, and some ways to do this for ourselves. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. So for me, this has been a real journey, and I can remember all the way back when I was a fitness instructor, and I was teaching classes, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed teaching Zumba and pole fitness, but also there was a level of struggle even around that. As the years went on and the classes didn't really grow and my income didn't really grow, resistance started to come up, and it started to feel less fun, and I'd have to kind of drag myself to the classes. Once I was there in front of the audience, I was good and it was fun and I loved dancing, but it became harder and harder. And this has happened a few times in my life with different things. And what I've come to realize is it's always been when there's an up level that needs to happen, when the universe is pushing me to grow and do something different or do something differently, so either take a different direction or tweak and change what I'm doing. More recently, as many of you guys know who know some of my story, about 4 or 5 years ago, I took a job when I was getting divorced, and before I launched my business again. And it was, as jobs go, quite a pleasant job. It was an animal sanctuary. It's where I found my Rosie dog, and it was an all right job. I was in the marketing and fundraising team, and I was doing online marketing. So in many ways it was a fit, but here's the thing, it really wasn't a fit. And how do I know this? Because of how it felt in my body and how it made me feel and how I responded to it. Now, I think a lot of it has to do with personality. And if you're here, it's likely that you're an entrepreneur, and that means you probably don't make a very good employee. Give me a hell yes if you can relate to that one in the comments. For me, this was the truth. Once I'd been self-employed, it was very hard to then go back and work a 9-to-5 job in an office. I found it incredibly constricting. I didn't particularly like having a boss, wasn't a great team player. Now, for me, this became an unbearable experience. My energy for it was just not there. For me, I begin to manifest the symptoms in my body when I shouldn't be doing something. So I was eating junk food, I was putting on weight, I was feeling no energy, just flat. My joints were beginning to ache. So for me, it's like super obvious when I should not be doing something. My energy levels disappear and my body tells me this is not the right path. Now, for some people, it might be different. I don't know. I'd love to actually hear your experience of when you've done something that hasn't been a fit and how you've known, like what have been the signs for you. But for me, it's very visceral. I can literally feel it through my being. And it's like my soul is kind of screaming at me, you stop doing this. This is not your path. And, you know, I'm super grateful for that job. It got me along the way. It got me through a hard patch, and I was able to relaunch my business and, you know, have had the full schedule of clients ever since. But I wasn't supposed to be doing that, and it just wasn't a fit. That style of working, that kind of old hierarchy, the fitting yourself into a box to kind of fit in with the organization, and all the bureaucracy and the forms and the sitting at a desk in an office all day, even if it is an animal charity, just were not the things for me. And so a more recent transition for me has been, you know, because I started as a VA and then an OBM, and more recently I've noticed that as I am progressing, I'm not wanting to do any done for you stuff anymore. It's like I've had my time with that. I've done so much building up of other people's businesses, so much marketing for them, so much building of their funnels. And I just, even copywriting that I normally love, you know, I was doing some copywriting for somebody and, you know, good pay and everything. But I just realized that it wasn't feeling right. I didn't want to work on anyone else's business anymore. And that those feelings in my body returned. Thora's just put lack of oomph. Yes, exactly, Thora. So, you know, lack of energy, lack of motivation, having to drag yourself to do it, having to make yourself do it. And so these are really signs for me. And it can be really hard to differentiate sometimes, because between something that we're not supposed to do and something that's just part of the journey that we may not particularly love but will ultimately get us there. Like, for example, I don't necessarily love setting up funnels, you know, setting up the tech for funnels, but I will happily do that in my own business because I know that it helps bring me more clients. And I know that, you know, there's a reason to do it. So even though it's not my favorite thing to do, when I'm doing it in my own business, my motivation still stays high and I can do that. And it's like any of those kind of mundane tasks, you know, sending invoices. Now, at some point, it's a good idea to hand that off to your VA when you get a VA. I haven't asked my VA to do that yet, so lucky her. Maybe I will soon. But things like that, they're not super fun, but there's a difference between just getting stuff done because we're entrepreneurs and we're committed, and work that just drains us and it is just like a no. And so how do we know the difference, right? How do we know what to say yes to and what to say no to? And for me, again, this has been a journey. And my friend Kath introduced me to human design last week. It's a way of kind of categorizing yourself, you know, one of these personality type things based on when you were born. And I'm a generator, which means that I have a really go, go, go kind of ethic to work naturally. I can just keep going and keep working. And this is true. And what I've seen is it's only the case when it's something that I enjoy and something that I'm lit up by. But it's really easy for generators to get pulled into doing different things because we get excited and we have this drive to always be moving forward and always be doing something. So someone can come along our path and give us an opportunity. And because we're excited and ready to move forward, we can say yes when really we should be saying no. And for us, our strategy is to wait and check our response. So we always get a response as a generator, like an excited moving forward type of yes, or a no, which is just like flat and no. And the trouble is when we do things purely for money, that never ever works. And I've been seeing this more and more, you know, when I just try and do things for money now, it's like the universe is like, that's not your path. You have something else to do here. So don't even think you can get away with that one anymore. And so for generators, it's yes, listen to our response, but then just wait and check that response, because in the moment we can get excited and say yes to things that we should really be saying no to. Now, we're all different. We all have different personality types. So, you know, work out for you what you need. What's your response? Look at where you've done things in the past that haven't necessarily been a fit, and how did that happen? And then things that you love, you know, what brings you energy? And here's how I know, like when I'm in flow, I'm just happy to do more, and I'm rocking and rolling and I'm energized and I'm excited. Now, does it mean I don't ever get tired? No, I do. And then when I get tired, I stop and I rest, and that's part of do business like a woman. But what I noticed through those times when I was really drudging, it was drudgery, is that I really got sick. You know, my body began to get sick. I was so stressed. I was mentally unhealthy. I was struggling as well with finances. So it was just not a fun, flowing, abundant way of being. And so that is why I asked the question, well, can we really spend all our time, or almost all our time, doing things we love and things that we really enjoy? And my internal response was yes. We are supposed to. There must be a way. There is a way. And that's what Do Business Like a Woman was born out of. Now, of course, what I help you to do is get clients, right? So that you can do more of the thing that you love and that lights you up. So that's kind of the how, is that we help you get clients. But the why is because I really believed there was a different way to work, and I still do. And I saw the damage that those old patriarchal ways of working were doing to people. You know, I remember one girl at that job, her grandma died, who she was really close to. And they said, right, you can have 2 days off and then you're back to work. No, like, allowing for the individual, and this is not even to criticize the organization, because I think as organizations go, they were quite caring, but it's just the old ways of working that are so constrictive, so masculine based, with no feminine energy, no allowing for individuality. We're all individual, we all have different needs and time scales and ways of working, right? So you have to know you. Like, what lights you up? What has you in flow? Leave me a comment, because I'd love to know what it is for you. Like, what do you enjoy doing that just brings you energy? And I'm going to share my tips for how I know. So number one is I check in with my body. Now, again, I know, like, we're all different and we can feel a response differently in our bodies. Some people don't have such an easy time feeling a response. For me, I can get a response to something. Is it a yes or is it a no? And for most people, they will feel something in their body. For me, it's usually in my stomach, you know, in my sacral area. But for other people, it can be different yes or no in their body. So that's number one. Number two is check in with your energy. Now, of course, we all have dips and troughs in our energy, but I'm looking to have a consistent experience of being energized. I'm looking to really be lit up for most of my day, and just to have it be really easeful and graceful. And so check in with your energy. If your energy is like on the floor, if you're flatlining, if you're experiencing a lot of resistance to doing something, that's a real signal. That's a real key. Now, does it mean that we don't sometimes have resistance to push through? No, we do. So like when you're scared of doing something new in your business, there'll probably be resistance. But for me, this is a very different kind of resistance to the resistance of, oh my God, I do not want to do this thing again because I'm on the wrong path and I should not be spending my precious time and life force and energy doing this thing, right? Can you relate? So do not spend your precious life force and energy doing things that you are not suited to. And then number three, and I've sort of talked about this, but it's separate the normal resistance and behavioral patterns and conditioning that you have in you from what you really shouldn't be spending time on. So like, how do you do that? Well, for me, like I said, I had this belief that work had to be hard, that earning good money had to be hard work. And so I would recreate that unconsciously. And so I've had to really uncondition that from myself. I've had to do a lot of wealth consciousness work, a lot of mindset work, really showing myself that it's not about working hard like a slave. It really is about our vibration and our frequency. And yes, of course, taking key actions, which any good business coach will guide you through. But really, it's that energy behind it. And that's why energy is so important in all of this. So, know your own self. Like, what are your conditioned responses? Perhaps you have a conditioned response of being unsatisfied or angry or frustrated, and this is throughout your life. And if that is the case, there's some work to do there around just staying present and noticing your behavioral patterns of being and just working on those and letting those pass through, right? Eckhart Tolle really helps me with this, with staying present. But once you are doing the work on that, then there's this other kind of resistance, which is just really clear when you shouldn't be doing something. It's like super draining. It's not your normal kind of patterns or whatever. It really is. Like, you will know, if you're honest with yourself, you will know when you're doing something that you shouldn't be. Now, we might not want to admit it to ourselves because sometimes it can be scary, right? What the universe is pushing us to do, what we're being called to grow to the next level. We don't always want to do it because it's safer with someone just paying us some money, right? So for me, it was always safer to do my OBM work and get a set amount of money each month than to go on my own and say, right, the coaching clients are going to come. So maybe it's similar for you. And it's just about trusting that guidance, trusting that if we follow our energy and what lights us up, that we will be taken care of. And this is really the primordial question, the big question that inspired today's live is like, if I do this, if I just follow my bliss, is this really possible? Is it really possible for things to be this good and to enjoy like 80, 90, 99% of the day, of the working day? Is it possible? And I wanted to know, and I think it is. And I take a stand for yes. And I've seen that it's been a process for me, and it still is. What do you think? Do you think we can? Do you think we can spend the majority of time enjoying ourselves and enjoying our lives? And how do we even do that? Like, how do we know? So for me, like, it's actually slowing down and it's cultivating the habit of enjoying things, enjoying what I do, the simple pleasures. In some ways, this lockdown has helped with that. The simple things, the walks, the cup of tea, the sunshine. What do you enjoy? So how do we even know, like, when we are enjoying ourselves? Well, I've been paying attention to that. And for me, it is energy levels, but also it's just like, am I good at even letting myself enjoy myself? Because when we become present and we notice our own resistance to things, we can do so much to accept what is, and we can do so much to enjoy whatever we're doing, and that's great. But I also believe there comes a time where we're getting nudges and prompts from the universe because something just isn't a good fit for us, and then I believe we get to make the changes and we get to redesign our lives and our businesses to make it just fun and great. So that's what Do Business Like a Woman is all about. Let's have a look at some of your comments. So Kath says she's been feeling this way and has decided to commit to only doing things that excite her if possible, although this isn't always possible or practical. Yeah, so that's kind of the crux of it, isn't it? I remember years ago, once when I was following my first mentor, and she is really into creating a divine life and pleasure and everything. And I remember telling my husband at the time that I didn't want to wash up anymore. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to wash up ever again. And that didn't go down too well. But it's quite funny. It makes me laugh now. But here's the thing, like, maybe washing up is not so practical. So we didn't have a dishwasher, right? So washing up is one of those that I have learned to enjoy. Might be too strong of a word, but it's okay with me now. I can just feel the water on my hands and it's fine, and there's some satisfaction to getting the dishes done. Now, as my business continues to grow, might I one day either have a dishwasher or have somebody, a cleaner who comes in and does it? Maybe, and that's cool too, right? But at the moment, washing up is still part of my experience, and I accept that, and that's fine. I enjoy that. But there are some things that we just should not be practical on. You know, if you're spending the majority of your working day doing something that sucks up all your energy and creates disease in your body, no way, do not be doing that. Even if it's practical, do not do it. And this is all about making these things possible for ourselves. So how do we make it more and more that we're just doing the things that light us up? Thora says it's so important, and feeling energized is how she knows. Yeah, absolutely, Thora. Oh, ladies, thank you. This has been so much fun doing this with you. I hope that you've got some value. Like, let me know, how's it resonating with you? This is totally what I'm all about. Let's redesign the way that we do work. If you need help getting clients, if you want to do this in a more feminine way, and you want to be supported and work with somebody that gets you and wants you to have pleasure as well as great clients and money, reach out to me. I've got a few spots left in my schedule for the Thrive Formula, and I am ready to support you if you're ready to do this. Reach out to me. I'll see you next time. Lots of love.